never travel to the house. I ain't gonna raise a children. Children. I never travel to the house. I ain't children raising right to monkey mouse. I ain't children hate when they make noise. I ain't children burning into another choice. I ain't children such that you stupid little brat. Watch you just snack. If I'm may, I give it away. Hit crying that they made. I ain't children screaming one more piece of cake. I ain't children hating up late night. I ain't children checks fucking alright. I ain't children touching out you stupid little brat. What you just snack. In my way, I give all away. Now I have my little kid. I ain't children into that army red. I ain't children see the story, it's called a gun. I ain't children one day better run. I ain't children touching out you stupid little brat. What you just snack. In my way, I give all away. Children come to the dead. There was a time I didn't know what to say. I couldn't ever give you away. I was you know, I don't care what your friends think. I was like a bird wrapped up in your cage. I was time you were in my head, kept you inside cause I wanted you there. I was a tongue-tied and I wanna forget. I want time with you, what's the matter with me? Don't wanna do this again. Turn on the television, I'm having tunnel vision. I wanna die when I look in the face. Don't even try getting out of my way. It's like you don't realize what you're doing now. I wanna last night I didn't want to end. It was alright till the morning began. I woke up in the morning and spent. It's alright till we do it again. Last night I didn't want to end. It was alright till the morning began. I woke up in the morning and spent. It was alright till we do it again. I want time with you. 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 I wanna die when I look at her face. Don't even try getting out of my way. It's like you don't realize what you're doing to me. I wanna die when I look at her face. Don't even try getting out of my way. It's like you don't realize what you're doing to me. I wanna.
All right, and we're back. Mild Sauce Live. If it's not fucking Saturday afternoon with a little bit of technical difficulties, it is not the Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show.
Comcast can go fuck themselves. We're having some internet issues, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry about
we're
that.
kind of stuck in the monopoly of Chicago internet providers.
Once again, fuck you, Comcast. We'll be dealing with you later today.
But getting back to the music. So we just checked out Rainwolf, and before that, the fucking amazing Adolescents. You know, Rainwolf was one of those bands where they've been in conversation in my radar, but I didn't really know too much about them. And actually, as they were playing, I thought, because I was coming at them from behind the stage, and I was like, oh shit, Wolf Mother started, and swung around and realized, oh no, this is not Wolf Mother at all. This is Rain Wolf. Like I said, out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
And you're pretty familiar with the Canadian rock scene.
Yeah, no, they were very fun. They
You went up there last year. You did a little investigating.
I did for work, music related. I did a amazing tour throughout Canada. So I did stops in Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto, checking out the punk and underground scene throughout Canada. So that was very cool. Actually, yeah, I was when I was up in Vancouver. That's not too far from Saskatchewan, So
You're like right in their neighborhood.
I was, well, technically speaking, with Canada, because they've got 8 big cities and nothing in between. That's the problem.
Always in somebody's neighborhood.
They have a hard time touring up there because there's such vast gaps between the metropolitan areas. So.
Oh, that is weird to think about. Yeah, there's like not little any mid-sized towns. Really.
Yeah, but like the towns they have are so much bigger. Like Vancouver, Montreal, like I said, and Toronto they dwarf Chicago. All of them are bigger than Chicago.
It's crazy to think about, right? Like, yeah, we think our cities are so big, but in the context of the world, they really aren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like all of those were just massive metropolitan areas with their own just like varied and unique scenes. Like Vancouver was definitely very, very laid back West Coast. You know what I mean? Very, I had the opportunity and luck to be in a hotel near the beach. So, you know what I mean? It was very much the athletic set. No smokers, lots of joggers, very healthy, very, very skinny, very beautiful people. Montreal, we had the opportunity to stay in the old district of town. So it was the very, very cool cobblestone hilly streets with the 100-year-old buildings. And then Toronto, I think, was closest in terms of like vibe to Chicago.
You hear that all the time. I'd see it as like a sister city.
Yeah, so. I mean, very blue collar, very working class. It was a great town, But yeah, I mean, we've kind of hinted on some Canadian conversations in the past.
Yeah. But we're the band we're getting into next, though, getting off the Canadian tip, is a band that was your pre-shirt.
Yes,
for today.
So now that the weather has shifted, a little bit into the cooler temperatures, I had an opportunity to try on one of the myriad shirts that I had bought for the from the weekend. So on the ride over, I was wearing my Suicidal Tendencies shirt that I picked up, and then I switched into this one. But no, that leads us perfectly into the next track. So just like I was saying with Fear, just like I was saying with Adolescence, Suicidal Tendencies was another band that I have been a fan of for decades, for so long. I've got the first album in my collection. They have been a band that has been a part of my life since I was in junior high school. I think it's
the roots run deep.
Another soundtrack album to Steve's weird life, and I was so thrilled to see them, and the fact that they didn't announce it, but Suicidal Tendencies came out, and we were with a group of people who had never seen them before, a little bit younger than me, and they were like, oh, so what are these guys about? I have no idea what to expect. And I was like, well, they started out as like, West Coast, LA hardcore, and then they've evolved over the years throughout their career into the metal territory, into the thrash rock territory, into the funk territory. They're a very, big umbrella type of band. And I was like, I will be happy if they stick, generally speaking, into like the first 5 records, let's say. That's my sweet spot in terms of fandom. And much to my surprise, they played the entire first record front to back. Then they played Possessed to Skate, which is their classic song off their second album. And then they played Feel Like Shit, which is yet another classic off their third album, and they walked off stage. I mean, it was what a mic drop moment. They were fucking amazing.
They only played 3 songs?
No, they played the whole first album front to back. Okay. Then they played 2 other songs.
I got it. Okay. I was like, well, damn, they only played 3 songs and left. That is a mic drop moment.
Yes. I mean, they fucking killed it. Just amazing, just craftsmanship in terms of playing, keeping the vibe, keeping the beat. The lead singer Mike Muir has got a long reputation as being, you know, a very profuse vocalist. You know, he talks a lot between sets. His songs are filled with vocals. You know, and he did not disappoint. It was very cool. And then one of the cool things that I really thought was, you know, about 2/3 of the way through the set, they stopped, and lead singer kind of jumped on the mic, and he was like, you know, listen, we've been doing this stuff a long time, and, you know, we're at a point in our career where adults are coming up to us and saying, you know, you influenced me when I was a kid, and I always swore if I ever had a kid, this would be the first band I'd take him to go see. So there was a lot of, like, kids in the audience, and at one
suicidal tendencies.
Yeah, for suicide. And at one point, lead singer Mike Muir had kind of mentioned that anecdote and was like, no, wait, let's just stop. All the kids in the crowd, come on up. And he wrangled up like dozens of kids and brought them all up on stage. And, you know, this is yet another band where, like, this is a nostalgia set, like I've said over and over again, you know, so there's not necessarily always all original members of these bands. And we had the opportunity to be blessed with Dave Lombardo on drums for the Suicidal Tendencies set. And you know, any of the punk and metal fans know that Dave Lombardo was the founding drummer of Slayer. So, you know, just the pedigree that was on stage during this set. And it was very cool because, you know, Mike Muir brings up all these kids, you know, from the crowd, just random, you know, youth from the audience, and, like, brought them up all on stage and put them up on the risers, like, flanking Dave Lombardo. And for the final third of the set, you know, it was like a family affair. It was really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's cool as hell, man. It has to be really cool for the guys who brought their kids out, or the families that brought their kids out to see them on stage. Like, that's a very cool moment.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, for hardcore at 5 PM, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's a little different.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. How do they compare with the Conflict set, though?
Let's see. Let's look. So, when I saw Suicidal, that was on Sunday. And I had been dipping around. I had gotten there on Sunday at 1:30 and saw Calpurnia. Then I saw Fear. Then I bounced around, met up with some people, caught the Bullet for My Valentine set. So a little bit of, like, early 2000s metalcore. And then this is one of those ones where I was a little bit disappointed. So coming from Bullet for My Valentine, going to Suicidal Tendencies, I had passed the stage where Johnny Marr had been playing. And again, deep cut listeners will know that Johnny Marr was the founding guitarist, songwriter to the the great Morrissey in the Smiths back in the 80s. So I like Johnny Marr. I love the Smiths, but there was more important shit on my radar that I wanted to see. Right. So, like, I gave them short shrift, and I was like, didn't really pay much attention to their set, but I was really disappointed in hindsight, because as I was walking from the Bullet for My Valentine stage to the Suicidal Tendencies stage, I passed the Johnny Marr stage, and he was doing his, like, last song, and it was like a classic Smith song off of Meat is Murder. I'm spacing on which one it was. But it was just like, as I'm walking past, I was like, found myself singing the lyrics, like, as we were walking. And I was like, oh, damn, I wonder now, like, did he play more Smiths? Is this what his set was like? I would have really, I would have made an effort to catch a little bit more of this if this was what was going on with it. So I was bummed to see that I missed a good set with Johnny Marr. But like I said, this was Sunday afternoon, so it was Johnny Marr, then Suicidal, then Clutch, then Blondie, then Alkaline Trio. So it was
That's a hell of a lineup.
One after another, and it was just kind of like tracking along. And like I said, and as it is with these big festivals, you have so many friends that go to these things, and you're trying to. It's tough to try and coordinate between, like, oh, this group of friends is over here and this group of friends is over there, and
and then you also gotta, like, get what you want to see. Like,
yeah, exactly. So it was a little bit of that, but yeah, let's dip into it. So this is gonna be. This was a song that I wished they would have played, but they did not. This is going to be the track Human Guinea Pig, which is the B-side of the Possessed to Skate single. So this is a little bit of a deep cut Suicidal from the era of their second record, Join the Army, but this is one of my absolute favorite Suicidal Tendencies tracks.
All right, let's get into it. This is Suicidal Tendencies, Human Guinea Pig.
Debut album. It's time to see who's who. That was very cool, and as you guys heard, obviously, you know, that nice little differentiation between West Coast LA hardcore and downtown London, England punk. So very cool stuff, and we're going to be dipping into Conflict a little bit more in depth in an upcoming episode, because like I said, that was a band that I saw actually twice during Riot Fest weekend. I saw them once during their set on Saturday afternoon, and then I wanted to make sure I caught their more comprehensive set Sunday evening at the post-show at Chi-Town Football. But that leads us perfectly into another British band of that era and our another Chicago connection. So this the next band we're going to hear, this is another treat of mine. I was very surprised to see this band on the lineup, and pleasantly as I could be. You know, this is Killing Joke, another England band, post-punk, early 80s, of the same era as, say, Joy Division or, you know, early Depeche Mode. So they're in that era, or the Cure era coming out of England. And like I said, this brings us to another Chicago connection, because the track we're going to play which they did not play when I saw them, but it was a really great set. I was super impressed, and now we've got the Pilsen traffic outside. Shut the fuck up! Chicago living, city life. But no, we're back.
My bad. I've never yelled at the cars outside my house, but that was ridiculous. What the fuck? All right, my bad. That was caught on tape.
All right, so where were we? All right, so Killing Joke. So, you know, they were definitely a band that was a surprise to me. I was super happy to see them. The Chicago connection is the Chicago local. Martin Atkins plays drums on this particular track. Let's dive into it. This is Killing Joke with Money Is Not Our God, off of the Extremities, Dirt, and Other Various Repressed Emotions LP.
And due to a few time restraints, we're also going to jump into a little bit of Alkaline Trios. Maybe I'll Catch Fire.
Yeah.
We'll be back in just a moment. This is the Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show.
It's not our God, ready?
It's full of ears, but I can't talk to anyone they've heard this one 1,000 times. The most exciting thing I do, hang halfway out a third floor window, maybe throw lit cigarettes down, and maybe I'll catch fire. Something warm to hold me, something pure to burn away the darkness that hides inside my mind. All that evil shit's not hard to find. I guess I only claim to be nice. Sounds it's full of eyes, but I can't look at anyone. They've seen this face 1,000 times. The most relaxing thing I do, hang halfway out a third floor window and
right, and we're back. Mild Sauce Live, Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show, co Saturdays. And we were just checking out fucking Killing Joke and Alkaline Trio. Now, I feel bad about cutting Alkaline Trio short. They were one of my my giddy fanboy moments on that fucking set.
Was it?
You know, anybody that knows me knows that that I am a super fucking fanboy of Alkaline Trio. I've seen them many times over the years, and this was like I said, I think it's been like, oh my god, it's been 16 months since I've seen Alkaline Trio. So you know, I've seen them a million times. They put on a great set. They play all the stuff I love, so I sing along. You know, last time I saw them, I think I was with my sister, and my sister and I sang all the words to all the songs.
That's fun. That's fun, man.
But no, we're running out of battery life on some of our equipment, so we're gonna have to
running out of time. We're running out of.
We're gonna have to speed this stuff up. Unfortunately, I mean, I could talk about this stuff for another 3 hours, but you know, that was another Chicago connection. Obviously, Alkaline Trio, Chicago legends. I've spoken about them before. I think in the modern terminology, in the modern Chicago punk music era, it's the trilogy. You know what I mean? Alkaline Trio, Lawrence Arms, and Against Me. And I think, you know, Chicago's been blessed with a really cool fucking, you know, situation in terms of like punk music. You know, I think. Whereas that is the modern equivalent of, you know, the holy trinity in Chicago, I would say back in the day, you know, go back 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and it was the Effigies, Naked Ray Gun, and Peg Boy, you know what I mean? And then, you know, we've had also these other eras of great music, you know what I mean, kind of like flipping through, but that gets me off on a tangent. I want to move forward, and that's where we're at. So we're going to kind of wrap this up. We're going to go out on 2 songs. So before we get any farther, I just want to say shout outs to everybody. Shout outs to Jake. Shout out to the magical,
shout out to you, Steve.
The magical producer with which none of this could happen. Shout outs to the 3-piece. Shout outs to everybody at Mild Sauce. Shout outs to Mars, Police State.
Great Day Living. They're out cooking today.
Yeah. Ryan with the backcourt when that comes back. So there's lots of action going on Mild Sauce, and I love you guys all. So the next couple tracks we're gonna check out, and this is gonna be the swan song going out. Our 4th Chicago connection for this episode was the semi-annual resurgence of the Jesus Lizard. So the Jesus Lizard is a Chicago institution. They've been around for years and years, and they came back, I guess, in end of 2017 with a new tour, and it's always good to see them. They're a confrontational band, and that's what I love about them. They're confrontational in their lyrics. They're confrontational in their presentation. You know, the lead singer, David Yao, has no compunction of egging on the crowd, flipping them off, spitting on them, jumping in the crowd, starting up conversations with them as he's crowd crawling around mid song. You know, this guy is a true Chicago original. I love him, and beyond beyond everything that's awesome with Jesus Lizard, I personally love the fact that, you know, David Yao and a couple of the other guys in the original lineup of Jesus Lizard were also involved in another Chicago favorite of mine, Pigface, which also loops back to Martin Atkins, who was the drummer in Killing Joke for the song we heard.
And we are going crazy at this point.
All sorts of Chicago love. I can't fucking help myself. So with that, let's just fucking dip into it. So this is one of my absolute most favorite Jesus Lizard songs, Monkey Trick off of Goat, the classic Goat. And then we're going to go out on Bad Religion with I Give You Nothing. Now, really quick before we sign off.
Do it up.
This was the 30th anniversary of Bad Religion's release of their classic album, Suffer. So they played that album front to back. And yet again, this goes back to everything we've been talking about the last couple episodes with, you know, Riot Fest being kind of, you know, the place to hear the classic albums. And it was a treat. And, you know, I almost pulled it out for this episode, but I am an old head, old enough to where I have a Suffer shirt from when that record came out. Wow. So I almost wore that one, but I felt that would be really crazy. So I didn't do it. So let's just fucking dip out of this, fucking jam out on some classic fucking Chicago and West Coast fucking awesome music, rock discovery, Jesus Lizard and Bad Religion. And I will see you again soon with more fucking amazing rock discovery. Check it out.
Yep. This has been the Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show, and this is Mild Sauce Radio. Coming up, we got Jesus Lizard and Bad Religion, and Steve will be back again next week.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of hot.
It's kind of hot.
give you nothing. I give you me, I give you nothing. Respectable, despicable, it seems all the same. Now we realize that we have nothing to say. If your reserve is we got a city complete, ask yourself again, do I deserve much from them? No. But they never can see all the corruption and the dishonesty. Look around and that's a lot of you are alive. You're a sidewalk cycle speaking bionic time. So I give you me, I give you nothing. I said